Or not.
Cool.
Here we go. Thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm super excited to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start with where did you get the idea and the concept behind the page milehighEDM? What was like the start on that? Because we have a very we're both similar into EDM, so that's where like we're gonna draw the connection here, and that's kind of where I want to start with this. But
yeah, definitely. So for everyone watching, I'm the founder of milehighEDM, which is an Instagram, TikTok, Facebook account that highlights EDM events in specifically Denver and Colorado. And the idea, I honestly had the idea for a few years before I started the account. I feel like you follow big accounts like Festival, EDM Maniac, Stage Hoppers, and they post nationwide or even international about what's going on in the electronic music scene. But I didn't really see anyone posting about the local stuff. And I was like, I want to get to know local artists. I want to know what local shows are going on. Like, we can't always afford EDC, but we can afford a $25 Cervantes ticket. And it was like, how do you find out about that? And so I just started posting about it. And then in parallel, I had just moved to Denver. So I'd been here about 7 months. So I was learning that myself. So I was like, why don't I just post about it as I'm learning about it? And like, maybe it can help other people learn about what's going on around them. And then it's just like exploded since then.
We were talking just before we got on. You moved here about a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
Just like me. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy to think that there wasn't like a page around that was doing, in my opinion, doing the amount of work and like updates that you do. It's because there is like Colorado Bass Heads and a few others that are out there, but you're like really on top of it. Like,
Thank you.
And I'm sure it's come a long way since its inception, but like you also have a very good like graphics and like everything's very clearly readable and stuff like that. I'm sure it took like a lot to refine.
But honestly, it didn't take too long. I definitely knew if I was going to do it, I was going to do it well. And like I wanted to make the post something that people would want to put on their stories and that they could read very easily. I also wanted to make my branding something that people could recognize without even reading the post, that like, it's a milehighEDM post just based on what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to stand out from day one. But yeah, I was definitely surprised that there wasn't an account like that in Denver. There's definitely even nicher communities in Denver. Like there's trance communities, like bass, drum and bass, but there wasn't like, I like all genres of EDM. And so I was like, why don't I just like put my music taste out there? And I definitely try and represent everything.
Yeah. So when you create a page or you're working with, I know you work with clients and stuff too, is there always like, do you always coach on like having that intent behind it?
Yeah. I think there should be a purpose behind every single post you do, whether it's a post, reel, story, comment. Like there should be some sort of purpose of building out your brand, getting followers, getting engagement, spreading information, like everything you do on socials. If you're from a brand or an artist perspective, there should be a purpose.
Gotcha.
There could be fun stuff too. Like, and that could be the purpose of just making a fun piece of content, but there should be an intention behind it.
I mean, 100%. I was just thinking about it, and there's like what's your take on like, do you think there's a difference between someone of a creator standpoint versus like a page standpoint?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a difference. And I also think my page kind of falls in this weird in between because I do a lot of like promotional stuff, but we also do a lot of fun videos and stage content and like making memes. They are two different approaches because creator is more of like an influencer. You're sharing yourself, sharing a type of content. Brand is more like you're translating what your brand is there for. So those kind of have two different purposes, but you can merge them. And that's kind of what we've been doing, which has been fun.
In my philosophy comes from the background of more that creator side where I've, just like, let's put out as much as possible, take the data, refine it, and go from there. But it is so different. That's something I've always run into when I work at companies and such, where it's like, we're a brand. We don't need to like throw some things out there.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit where I'm like, oh, we could, and we got to get past that. But it's very different philosophy. But I like that you're like, there's intent behind it from the jump. Because I'll be honest, like with me, it was just like, I'm just going to see where this thing goes. And like, we're just going to, fly by the seat of our pants at first. Cause I mean, I know when I started too, there was a lot of like, I don't really know what I want to get out of it. Like, and where I want it to go. So I guess I'll just start with what I like. And then as it evolves more. And so like a little bit of that, but there, like, I remember there wasn't much intent in my head. I was just like, let me just put videos out that I'm getting while I'm at festivals. And if I get a ticket, I get a ticket, type of thing.
Totally. Well, and that's where I think, I'm really glad I started Mile High in the time I did. I started it February of last year. So we just hit our 1 year. So I kind of got
Congrats.
to, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, I did something every day for a year. Like that's crazy. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. But I got to like see what social media looked like pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID. And it's definitely going this direction of like more marketing, more brand partnerships, kind of more businessy. And so I think I hopped in at a really good time because I didn't have to figure it out as much. I could look at other people and I could see their mistakes and I could see their wins. And I was like, why don't I apply this knowledge to my
Yeah.
page?
When you say like you looked at other people and their knowledge stuff, what pages came to mind where you were like watching what they were doing and going, ooh, I like that, or ooh, I'm not going to do that? Like, I'm sure there's a bit of both of like picking like that was really good, that wasn't, or not that it wasn't, not to talk any shit on anybody, but just or seeing something where you're like, that doesn't seem what I want to do type of thing.
Yeah. EDM Maniac, I love their branding. Same with EDM.com. Like if you look at our posts, they do have a kind of a similar thing of like a border around the post, very simple captions. Festival has a really great community. I feel like people are very involved in his comment sections. I know he's very active on Twitter too, which I don't know if that's for me, but
it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, it really is. But so I kind of like looked at all these different accounts that I admired and picked the things that I liked about them and then applied it to my brand. And then, like you said earlier, like refined it. I think the first 3 months, it was a lot of reacting and trying new things and seeing what people liked and what did best. And then now we have a pretty solid template for everything we do.
Yeah. When you were trying that and refining that, like what's one piece of advice you'd give somebody that's either starting their own creator page, brand, or just a page in general for something that they love? What's like a piece of advice you'd give them for that first 3 months?
Oh my gosh, don't be scared to try everything. Like try every type of video, every type of editing. And even like if you're talking to the camera, try FaceTime style content, try content where your phone's propped up against a water bottle, try content while you're walking. Like you don't know what your audience likes and you're still trying to figure out who your audience is at the same time. So kind of like figuring out content that you like to make and that aligns with your audience and that they want to watch. Once you can find those two things, like your engagement is solid going forward.
Yeah, we were talking about that a bit again before we got on or started rolling live, but like that, if you're doing something that you like, the less likely you're going to have that burnout phase. And that's something that I personally can relate to because I would go super hard for 3 or 4 months on making EDM content. And I know you're wrong. I love the EDM scene. I love the music.
Totally.
But then the making of the content, I was just like, at one point I was like, I just don't want to be in a passion media making a voiceover video anymore. Like I just don't want to do that. Like I just don't. And there would be times where I was like, oh, I guess got to push through it. But then same thing, like without a doubt, it was almost like every time at like the 4-month mark, I would just hit a wall and just be like, I just am done.
Yeah.
I need a break. And then that break would be like an awesome month or two. And then I might kick it into high gear again. And then same thing, back to hating it. And then, so it was like and I'm saying that, I'm telling that story, that long-winded story for someone to hopefully grasp that and understand, like when you're making content that you enjoy, it tends to be a lot easier. It just does. Totally. It just flows easier. You're laughing at your own stuff. You're having a fun time and you're not like worried about, I have to make 3 videos a day or something.
Yes, totally. And something I'd recommend too is diversifying your type of content you're making. Like everything on milehighEDM falls under 3 pillars. The first is like educational content. So that's like our show announcements, educating you about what's going on in your community. The next is artist content. So that shows up as like our artist our artist interviews, our DJs in Denver series, working with artists to create collaborative videos with them. And then the third piece of content is community content. So that would be like bass bingo content, EDM yoga, funny moments that happen at a show, maybe a partnership with a brand. And kind of when you get burnout of one, you can just switch over to the other for a little bit. So you're still creating content, but it's kind of a rotational cycle. Yeah,
that's very, very smart. That's something that's crazy. As long as I've been doing social media, I've never had, even when I was at a company, one of my managers recently like just introduced me to the 3, we called them pillar concept. And first one being educational, second one being a little bit more, or I'm trying to remember, pillar 2 was educational, but specifically like to our audience. So what is something our audience really likes, and kind of hitting those bullet points. So a little more niche down on the education, but like there. And then third was, how do we cast a wide net that hits the whole industry and could go viral, but we know it'll at least be relatable. And then from there, having those three, and that's how we broke it up in those three. But I remember being like, no one's ever sat me down and talked to me about this once. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 5 years at this point. Like, it's crazy.
Totally. And yeah, it's just like that strategy perspective. And once you realize like what content pillars are, you can point them out in other people's content too. When you look at their pages, you're like, oh, I see where that falls. And another piece of advice I'd say with that is like continue to change your content that falls under those pillars. So like educational, for example, like we will always have the announcement posts, but at the beginning of the year, I also started doing a post of like weekly raves in Denver that goes up every Wednesday, and it breaks down like the vibe of the rave or the EDM show, how much it costs, who's playing, and then like the show flyer. And that's been taking off really well, just telling people where to go each weekend.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I think I've sent a few of those to my friends myself.
And I'm always like, send them to your friends. I know you're trying to figure out what you're doing this weekend.
It's awesome. Another thing too, I'm sure you probably do this as well, but this is where like I remember bringing. So my manager brought the pillars to me, but then I brought I was like, well, we could also repurpose the content, quote unquote, but in a way. I mean, let me take it a step further. It's like, say we make a piece of educational content that is a 30-second reel. I work for a fitness company. So let's say it's for a bench press or it's on a Smith machine. We can make a 30-second reel talking about the features. We can then take that same reel, put it in a carousel, put that out. It doesn't have to be the same week. You could schedule them out, 2 weeks apart. That way it's not repetitive content. But at least you have and then you can make that same video that's 30 seconds, cut it into 6 seconds, and then just list everything over some B-roll. And it's like we're getting we're using that same one piece of content to then distribute it into the three, and then we'll spread them out as we need with other products and things of that nature. But that was something where they were like, oh yeah, we should be doing that. I'm like, yeah, we could make it's we're a 2-man team. We need to figure out a way to, maximize the most amount of our content. And that's I think where I take that solo creator view of things, where I'm like, how do I maximize a piece of content? Because it's hard enough for me to sit, create it, edit it, do it all by myself. And it's a little different from a page because things are moving every week and you got to get
so much content. Right. Denver.
There's so much content.
So much here.
But from a creator or business perspective, they can kind of do that, especially if it comes to a product thing or something like that. But
totally. And you could even break it down further, and what you list out as the how-to. If you're saying how to do a bench press, write that into threads. Post the same video on YouTube Shorts, post the same video on TikTok, just really diversifying where your content is.
I had this I've never heard anyone describe it as this. It's not a revolutionary idea by any means, but I remember bringing it to, I worked at a power tool company and bringing it to them and being like, look,
I had a lot of jobs.
I had a lot of jobs.
A lot of side quests.
A lot of side quests. A lot of stories from those too. We can get into it. But I did social media management for a power tool company. And same thing. We had at the time, social was not very heavy. It was not top of mind for them. It was we were more focused on brand and how do we brand our boxes, our packaging, and that's the more important thing. Social, you're down here. And I was all right, no worries, fine. But how do we? So with the little bit that we have, even though we have a team of 3, we can cover all of the platforms. How do we maximize the content? Because same thing, we're running into the same wall every time, which is we just not have enough content to go on everything without it being super repetitive. And again, it's not a revolutionary idea by any means, but I was we should have I called it a content funnel. And it's basically all you're doing is taking one video and so you as a business would prioritize your platforms. So say Instagram's your number 1, and then TikTok's number 2, Facebook's 3, and then so on and so forth. And you take your video that you made and unless it's a new launch, because you can't do it on a launch, it doesn't work that way. But you make that video talking about the features or a how-to video, and you put it for week 1, it goes on Instagram, then week 3 it goes on TikTok, and week 5 it goes on Facebook. And so it's getting repurposed, but it's not being posted the same exact day to the same audience. More so than likely. And it's at least allowing a little bit of change and diversity in the content. And that was something we tried to implement, and I think they're still doing it. I don't know, but
Yeah.
again, it's not like a revolutionary idea, but I was like, we don't have enough content, and
Totally.
we're getting to a point where it's like people are like, oh, it's the same video on Instagram and on Facebook. And I think I still come from that aspect of like, I think you should post it everywhere because you just don't know. Like I've had too many videos of my own that do horrible on TikTok and then they blow up on Instagram. And so it's like, you might as well at least try, but like spacing it out, given that you can, as long as it's not like a time pertinent thing, which I know that sometimes that's the case, but
yeah. And I've even heard like if you post them all the same day across all the platforms, like 2 of them will flop. Say that you post on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, like maybe the Facebook and TikTok ones won't do as well as the Instagram. I've definitely seen it in my own experience of like Instagram and TikTok. If I post the same video with the same caption, one of them will flop. But if you wait a few hours, wait a day, wait a few weeks, like the engagement could be better. I don't know if that's like very true or not, but that's been my experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be surprised if they have some back end metadata on knowing exactly where these things are.
I'm sure they're all connected in some way.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Can we actually? That's something we did not talk about earlier, but the way that things are going with the editing apps, like, and how they know, like, I don't know if you experienced this, but like I've been using edits recently because it is super convenient. I actually think I used to use CapCut, and honestly now I really like edits to where it's very convenient and very easy. But the second I post an edit video to TikTok, it just doesn't do well. They hate it. They hate it. And so it's like I have to take it in either they want you to remake it in CapCut, but like I would just throw the video in there and then download it again from CapCut, and it somewhat does better. But it's same thing. It's like the second it's an edited reel, and I push it to TikTok, they're like, oh, that's 100 views, and I'm like, okay, and it's like capped, like it's 100 and it just stops. And you're like, great.
No, I'm sure you're onto something. That So or something I'll do is I'll make my videos in CapCut, move them over to edits. I'll make like a really small, like a period, put it in the corner for like 0.5 seconds at some point in the video. And then I post it to Instagram because then it pushes it out as an edited video on edits.
I'm writing that down.
So it's like, you don't have to recreate the whole video. You could just make a really small change, or even if there's like you want to do your captions and edits instead, like just make a really small change. It takes you less than a few minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah,
that's a cute little hack right there.
On like, CapCut and just flip it.
That was my first thought. I was like, I just put in the CapCut, I'm gonna put a period in the corner, and I was gonna know. That's perfect.
Yeah,
they're gonna patch that.
Or a transfer thing. I know. I'm like, don't let them know. But
I'm not listening on my phone right now. Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad I brought that up then, because it's been such a frustrating thing, and I've seen other creators talk about it too, where it's just like, can we just edit and just put a video? It doesn't matter which one, because like it is going to be a split anyways. Like you just said, you like CapCut, I like edits. Like we're already boom, like it's just already a split. So
well, it depends on like the content too. Like if I'm doing a show video with an on-screen caption, I'll most likely use edits because that takes like 10-15 minutes to put together. But if I'm doing something where there's like multiple edits or I'm overlaying stuff, like I just like CapCut on the PC better because I feel like I can see it all. Versus I like go cross-eyed on my phone.
Yeah, that's so funny too. Yeah, there's so many ways. Like I'm like so used to my phone that I'm total opposite with that as well, where I'm like, I just don't want to even touch the computer. Like when I have to edit the podcast on the computer, I'm just like, ugh, I'm gonna kill myself. But like it is. And what's funny is for the podcast though, I do use CapCut because there's no edits for long form. So I should just use CapCut for everything. Now that you mentioned it, but I'm just causing trouble for myself to flip between everything.
Just depends on the content.
Yes. So did you start getting into social media and social media management in that sense with this page?
Yeah. I have no prior experience other than building my personal Instagram. I knew I'd always wanted to do it. I did go to college. I went to Arizona State, graduated, and then moved out here, got a business degree, global politics. I traveled the world for a little bit. I took 7 months and lived in Europe and like backpacked around, also kind of like chased music festivals while I was over there. So there was still an underlying theme of music. and like posted about it, and I just really fell in love with like storytelling on my personal page and talking about my adventures. And like I've always been that person that dumps like 5 videos from the previous night. Like if you go to a show, I'll dump 5 videos on my personal story, and like, you know, you're clicking through them, but like I absolutely love it. And so I'm like, I want everyone to watch, and I'm gonna rewatch my stories. So yeah, then I started milehighEDM, and I think I found the thing that I really like to do and I want to do for a long time. And I think I'm kind of good at it too. So, and I love learning and like applying the skills I have.
I mean, 1 year in and it's already taken off more probably than you even expected with a 1 year in there. It's always awesome to see those things like take off. Like, I mean, in my opinion, you're doing awesome for 1 year in. Like, I'm like, you got the page going, it's rolling.
Yeah. We just became last night the biggest community EDM page on Instagram. In Denver. So that's pretty cool.
That's exciting.
I'm like, that's 1 year in. Like, I'm excited for the next few years.
That'll be so awesome.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the backpacking trip in Europe. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. So in 2023, I moved to Madrid, Spain. I was doing a study abroad, but I say that I lived in Europe because I had to figure out my own visa. I had to do my own housing. I also got sick while I was over there, so I had to figure out the hospital system. So
oh my goodness.
I very much lived there. I don't think I went to class very much, but yeah, that was my first time out of the country. I was gone for 7 months. I went to, I believe, 17 countries in total. Ryanair was my best friend. I love that platform. Love those flights. And yeah, just went like mostly along the Mediterranean. So I did like Morocco, Egypt, a little bit of the Middle East, and then kind of everywhere along the north side of the Mediterranean. I lived in Croatia for a month and did like, I volunteered in a home and like babysat, and then worked in another apartment complex and just like painted the walls in exchange for free housing. But yeah,
it is
super
kind of
cool trip.
It's so, okay. So you did 17 countries. Where did you start? And did you just go down and around, or can you take us through your itinerary?
Okay, so honestly, I didn't know much about stuff out like many countries outside of the US before I left. I'd never been out of the country. So I kind of would just like hear recommendations from friends or like join different trips and be like, oh, I want to go there. And so it started with Madrid. I did a weekend in Paris, went to Morocco for a weekend. We like slept in the Sahara, like rode camels into the Sahara. Like such a cool experience. I love Morocco. Had so much couscous. Like that food was so good. And then I believe from there I went to Italy. I did 2 weeks by myself in Italy for spring break. I backpacked from Sicily all the way up to Milan. And that was kind of like can I handle solo travel? Yeah, it was cool. Like walking in Pompeii, like Pompeii is very big. I did not think it was that big. And I was just like walking around and I'm like, wow, like this is what it looks like in person. And like these are where all the stories are. Also, I was naive and I thought that like the carcasses would just be like scattered throughout the city of Pompeii. Like, no, there's like 5 of them that are like in the shade and like museum grade like containers.
Oh, okay.
I definitely was like, oh, I'm gonna just like see what it looked like stuck in time. But yeah, that was really cool. Got to see like the Vatican. Got to go to Rome. I was in Milan for Easter, and that was really cool. And then I think from there, I don't entirely remember the next few trips. I know I did Croatia for a month, and then kind of the festival started, and my friend and I went to Rampage in Belgium. We were following Subtronics, and I was like, if he's in Europe while I'm here, I'm gonna go. And she's like now one of my best friends of all time, and it was a great weekend. And I did Portugal twice, went to Lisbon twice. We went to this festival called El Ro, if you've heard of that.
Isn't the one that travels around, right?
It travels. Yes. So much fun. If you ever get the chance to go. And tickets are like 30 euros.
I regret missing it at Miami Music Week last year.
Yeah.
But it looks
really cool.
Every time I see it, looks so fun. Yeah. Because they bring everything with them, and it's like they got confetti. They make it like one big party.
Totally. Like, and they have like circus performers. Yes. People like crowd surfing. Like it was really cool. And then we did Croatia. I went to Belgrade in Serbia. I did do Tel Aviv. My roommate was, she was doing an internship over there. And then we went all the way to the border and went in the Dead Sea and got to see like Church of Christ. And like, that was really cool. And then I went to Switzerland for a few days. One of my good friends lives near Geneva, so I got to stay with her and like see the Matterhorn. And
it works out when you got people around that you just go visit. It's so nice.
So yeah, I think I think that was most of them. And then since then, I've also done Budapest, done Hungary, went to like drum sheds in London, did a layover over there. Um,
What would you
and
say
then,
out of all the
yeah,
European countries, which one was your favorite, if you could say that? It's
I
okay.
love Croatia.
Yeah.
Like Croatia is just like so beautiful. The beaches are nice. The food is good. The people are very nice. There's definitely like a party atmosphere there too. Like people just want like a certain quality of life. It's
Hmm.
not very work focused. Also, like that was my first time learning about like kind of the USSR era and like Yugoslavia and hearing firsthand accounts of like what a socialist country looks like and what they look like now. And like that was really educational
Hmm.
because I feel like in the US we read about it, but we don't actually talk to people that have lived it.
Right.
Or even like when I was in Milan, we did a tour. We went and saw the what's the painting called? The Last Supper
Yeah. Hmm.
painting by Michelangelo. Got to go see that in person. But that whole church was completely bombed down during World War II. So they have all these pictures and like point out where everything was like just demolished and then rebuilt. And like as an American, you're standing in there and you're like, oh my gosh, like this was like completely
Yeah.
destroyed and then it's recreated now. And like they put like all these sandbags around the painting so it wouldn't fall down. And yeah, it was just like extremely educational, which was sick.
Did you do a nice blend of like history, nature, having fun type of thing?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely a lot of history, a lot of like free walking tours.
Hmm.
Like I'm sure you've done plenty of the free walking tours.
I've actually never been to Europe yet.
No?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I
I've
have plenty
done
of
South and
recommendations.
Central America and then Asia.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
gone way out, but anyways,
yeah,
that's why I was curious, and it is like a big bucket list thing for me to do Italy and Greece. I'm a big
totally.
into the history, and
Yeah.
I would just walk around looking at the history all day.
Yeah, definitely do as so there's like a thing called free walking tours. You can
Okay.
Google it and they do them in almost every like major city and even minor cities in Europe and they're free, but like you definitely should pay like 5 to 10 euros at the
Hmm.
end and it's basically a 2 hour walking tour guided
Sweet.
by someone who's usually born and raised there or has lived there most of their life and you just like learn all these fun facts or even like I lived in Madrid for 5 months and I did a walking tour at the very end and Madrid had a really big like civil war in the late 1900s and the area of Madrid I lived in there was a lot of government buildings around and there were like these holes in the government buildings and I honestly thought that they were just like gum that people put on the walls and then on the walking tour I learned that they were like bullet holes from the Civil War and that they left them there to remember just like the hard times that the city had gone through
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Like I used to walk by these every day. And so it's just, yeah, like you just learn all these fun facts that you wouldn't otherwise learn when you're just walking around.
Right.
Yeah.
When you did the solo trip and stuff, what advice do you have for those that maybe are thinking about doing a solo trip and haven't done it yet? Because
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I mean, I just did my first solo trip too,
How
so
was it?
it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And so I like, had to do it on a whim. I was like, I'm going. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
go and do it. I'll figure it out. And I planned a little bit. I planned a lot of it to be honest, because I was just like, I'm
Yeah.
someone who doesn't even know at least a little bit like where I'm going and stuff.
Totally.
But it was awesome. I had so much fun, and I met some awesome people that
Yeah.
will forever be in my memory and from that time. So yeah,
Yes. Where did you do it?
I did it in Guatemala.
Sick.
Yeah, for like 8
Yeah.
days. It was so fun.
That's it. And like hostels and everything too.
Yeah, yeah. I did all hostels except for one night when I got back to Guatemala City before I flew out. I just did a hotel that night.
Cool.
But yeah, all hostels and
Yeah.
renting vans and
Yeah.
doing pickups through the hostels and stuff like that, and doing like the shared vans to some place. It was just me and like 12 people
Yeah.
just going to the same place, and
Yeah.
you're meeting people that way. It's nice. It kind of like are some things that you can do that like put you in that environment to meet people, which is nice.
Totally.
And I don't know if the ones in Europe do it, but the two of the hostels I stayed at in Guatemala did family style dinner and no
Nice.
phones, and they have like 6 tables set up, 6 people at a table, and you just sit and talk with whoever's around you and get to know them and hang
Yeah.
out, and then you all end up hanging out at the bar that night and getting to know
Totally.
each other and stuff, which I thought was awesome. I was like, oh, I love this, like, because I didn't
Yeah.
get that in Asia, so I was like, this is awesome
Yeah.
here. Like, I wish every hostel did that.
Totally, yeah. And it like looks different at different hostels. Like I know I went to some that had like the family style
Mm-hmm.
dinners. Like in Barcelona, they had a paella night. And so they just had like this giant thing of paella. and then everyone would just come and hang out, and you just sit at a table with someone you don't know. There's a lot of like bar crawls too. Like
Yeah,
that's an easy way to make friends.
They did do the bar crawl.
There's
That's
a lot
for
of
sure.
that. Or sometimes they'll do tours. Like in Madrid, it was really popular to have like a flamenco class that everyone could go to for a discounted rate. Like kind of culturally relevant things.
There's
But-
also like I don't sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
take
no,
from you,
you-
but like so in Guatemala, one of the reasons I went was to do the volcano hike, and
Yeah.
you're in a group there. Not if you stay, certain hostels have their own expedition, but like you generally will do it through a different guide. And I didn't do it through the hostel I was at. I just did a regular one. But either that way too, there's things like just like the walking tour or something. You sign up and you do these things with people,
Yeah.
and they usually have it where it's like a group tour and you just meet people on that excursion or thing.
Totally,
And like,
yeah.
and if it's like hiking or something, you're kind of like, you'll have somebody that you're just in it with. Like there were guys on that trip where I'm like, we went through that hike. Like we were dying on that hike together.
Yeah.
And then, there's other things where you can do like a wine tasting tour. And even if you go by yourself, you're going to meet the other 8, someone in that group of 8 you're going to click with or at least talk to. So it's always nice.
Yeah.
I think it's a little intimidating at first, but
Yeah.
I would think for most people, I've always been someone that will go out and do my own thing regardless. So I haven't had that like scared with it, but it is like, I can honestly say, like, if you just go and you sign up for these things,
Totally.
you're going to meet people. It is a little harder if you were just go to the bar by like, instead of a bar crawl, you just go to the bar. It is a little harder that way.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Done that myself. Didn't meet people.
Yeah.
But then you can do these other things, and I mean, I didn't mean to take away from what advice you might give, but I guess that's something
Yeah.
I would say, which is like sign
Yeah.
up for random things and just do them. Whatever you want to do,
Totally.
you'll meet people that way.
Yeah, I think that it was super aligned with the advice I was going to give of just like be open to doing anything on those trips. Like definitely have a penciled out plan or certain things you want to do. But I think so many of like my favorite adventures on these solo trips were because I met someone in a hostel and they were like, oh, do you want to go join me on this tour?
Right.
Or do you want to go to the bar with me? Or do you want to go to the beach with me?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh yeah. And then like you meet other people and then it just kind of like spirals and then
100%.
you're just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I literally
yeah.
in Guatemala, this in the van of 12 of us, we were talking about where we're going because there's Lake Atitlan where we stayed, and
Yeah.
it's like you stay at different towns. The only way to get to them is by boat, so there's no like driving. Are you
That's
familiar?
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
I
like,
haven't been yet, but I want to go.
oh, highly recommend. I think not to take a tangent here, but like I think it's Guatemala is like on the cusp of like blowing up to where I feel like so many people are gonna start going.
Yeah.
So if you can
I
go,
think it's been very popular the past year.
I'm starting to see, even before I was starting to see a ton of like Instagram posts and videos from other travel, influencers and stuff. So I'm like, I think I caught it though right before it like gets too crazy to go.
Yeah.
Cause it was still super like cheap and like there wasn't a ton of, like it wasn't as busy as I thought it was going to be, but
Totally.
but anyways, just telling a story of what you were saying, like I met somebody on the van that, oh, I'm staying in the same town as you are. I'm like, okay, which hostel? And it happens to be the same hostel I'm in. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, perfect. So we took the boat over together. We get dropped off. We check in. She went to her room. I went to mine. And like, as we were like, because they like, they walk you to your, like, give you a tour of the hostel. They're like, oh, here's this or that. So when we went to split up, I was like, do you want to meet at the bar in like 20 minutes? She's like, yeah, let's do it. We go to the bar. We decided to do the family dinner, and we met these 2 Canadians that we ended up hanging with the next 3 days with. So it's like one of those things, and they would be like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna go do this. We're like, yeah, okay, we're gonna go do this. Perfect. And they would just like go meet us there or go do their own thing. It was just so much fun. Anyways,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
Yes, 100%. One of my best friends I met in Venice. I was staying at a hostel by myself, and I think they were having like a drink event downstairs. So I was like, why don't I go socialize? I don't even think I drink that much, but that's just like where the people are to make
Yeah.
friends.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And I went downstairs and I met this girl, I'm forgetting her name, but she had this other friend, Lila. They were both Americans. And so like met her there in Venice. Turns out Lila was also living in Madrid at the same time. So started hanging out in Madrid. And then for my 21st, I went to Ibiza and I saw Fisher in Ibiza. And like Lila and I ran into each other at a bar in Madrid. And I was like, do you want to come to Ibiza with me? And she's like, yeah. And like we were so broke and we split a twin bed in Ibiza, like didn't buy any drinks because we couldn't afford any. Watched this 5-hour Fisher set, had like a single cigarette in the middle of it as a break. And like now she's one of my best friends of all time. Like,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's
literally,
so
like, so
funny.
cool.
That's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like almost feel like I'm a late bloomer with like going to travel abroad and doing the whole hostel
No,
thing.
it meets you when you're ready for it.
Wait, say that again?
It meets you when you're
Oh, it
ready
meets you.
for it.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I feel like travel meets you when you're like ready and open for it, whether like you instigate it or someone invites you on a trip. Like
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I had some friends nagging me for quite some time to go out.
yeah.
Because like I went the route of like I went to music festivals. Like I
Yeah.
just that's what I did for so long. Like
Yeah.
I did literally there was like 2 years where I was working in a little bit in the industry, and I think I went to like 12 festivals in 1 year.
That's insane.
lot.
I did 6 last year and
Yeah.
I was like crashing out in the fall. I
Yeah.
was so tired.
Yeah, 12 I was after the year of 12 was when I was like I need a break.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like we can definitely get into this, but like that's where that's
Yeah.
the avenue I went. And then I had friends who went and traveled right away out of college and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny is like we would cross over occasionally. Like I might go on one trip for like 4 days, and then they might
Yeah.
come to a festival for 3 days, and that's like, and they do one a
Yeah.
year, and I do one a year. And then
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, I'm a little older. I want to go see some more of the world. I've seen, and working in the industry, it's weird because you're such a fan, and you have an idea of like, I want to go do this, and you get it. You get the opportunity, and you're happy. And I was super
Yeah.
happy. I'm not gonna even deny it. But then I got to the point where I was like, well, I'm seeing the same acts the festivals aren't
Yeah.
made for somebody to go to every to all 12 in 1 year. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
reality as a
Yeah.
fan, I should say. Because you're going to see a lot of similar acts, and those acts might change a little bit, but not necessarily. They might a newer hit song you might hear, but they might have their baseline of tracks that they're trying to get out and they're playing on tour and stuff of that nature. And that's no hate to the artist. Again, that's not the way that, like, in my head, that's not the way things are set up. So like as a fan, the likelihood of someone going to 12 festivals and seeing the same person 12 times is very unlikely. They might see them 3 times a year at 3 different festivals, and things might be just a different where you don't notice it. But like when you go so much, you're like, oh. And then you might go to I would still go to shows, in my hometown too. So it's like sometimes I'm seeing the artist on tour and I'm seeing them 3 times, 4 times at an event. And no hate, but it's just very interesting about that. Like it's just very different than what I guess I don't know what I expected.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No, totally. And I think honestly, kind of experiencing electronic music in Europe was part of the reason I started milehighEDM at the time I did, because like I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, so we used to go to like a lot of Relentless Beats events. That's where I got into raving, was like going to Rawhide, Decadence, Gold Rush, Phoenix Lights, Walter's Warehouse, like all that stuff. And fell in love with like the American EDM scene. Moved to Europe. It's completely different over there. But also similar in a same way of like everyone has this shared, I don't know, passion in the crowd, and like you might not be able to speak the same language, but you could dance to the beat in the same style. Like just going to techno shows or drum and bass, a lot of house, a lot of different genres, different production. Like it was similar vibes, but in a different way. And I feel like, to your point, a lot of American festivals are kind of going the route of like very similar artists on the lineup. And like by going to Europe, all of a sudden I was going to a festival with a lineup that I didn't know a single person on it, which like that just doesn't happen here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And like really fell in love with that. And then kind of also fell in love with like experiences at festivals. Like I got to go to Electric Forest last year, and I was like, wow, like this festival just feels different than like EDC or even some of the smaller ones here. But yeah, it's like just kind of keeps it changing. And I definitely think that, some of the festival lineups are starting to look similar. But also that's what the people like right now. And it's like, if we all want dubstep, like, let's go hear dubstep.
Right. And that's exactly what I was hearing all the time. And then, again, this, like, I hope there's like no hate with it. Like, again, like it's not, they're not made for me to go to all 30 in the US, or half of them in the US. It's like made for you, maybe do 3 a year, and you spread them out in different places, and you're doing one, the first quarter of the year, then there's one in the second quarter, and then maybe you do one in the fall or for New Year's, and you're seeing artists you want to see, but you're like, oh, the last time I saw them was 4 months ago. And that's perfect. That's like sweet spot, honestly. And it's funny you brought up going for the experiences, and that's something I've certainly pivoted a lot more toward now. is like, all right, I want to go do and see things that I haven't seen before. And not only just go to a festival for the music, but also for what else the festival curates that I can like go off and explore or something. Like perfect example, I love Swanee Halloween. I'm from Florida, so I've gone a couple times, and they've done such an amazing job of more than just the music, making it a very fun, safe space that you can just go around and explore. They've opened up the festival grounds to be bigger every year. They've incorporated more exploration, more things to just walk around and observe and get lost in and have fun with your friends. And so I think that's a big thing. I was going to ask, how do you like Electric Forest? I'm debating going this year.
I loved it. I'm a little biased because that was my first festival I went to with an artist. I went with the Wonky Willow crew, and that was just like one of the coolest experiences. Like we stayed in artist camping. I got to work the festival. That was like my first time meeting artists, being on stage, being backstage. So like that was a bias definitely to it, but I did have a lot of time by myself too. And I would just go and like lay on those like trampoline things. Like if you've been to Forest, there's like these netted trampoline things you can go lay on kind of by the piano. And there's just like so much investment in the fan experience as you're walking stage to stage. Or if you need a break for a minute, need to go sit down somewhere, like there's places for you to sit. And the people I met were super cool. Like everyone in the crowd was so nice. And like everyone had these little trinket buckets and would do like trinket trades. And I had just never seen that before. Like it was, highly recommend. Do it at least once in your lifetime. Like, it was just magical.
Thinking this is the year to do it. I'm debating between
lineup's good.
E-Force or Shambhala. That's the only
problem. That's a hard combo. I mean, Shambhala is harder to get to.
Yeah, way harder.
I get transportation anxiety, so I just need to like get to the venue. But Shambhala is on my list too. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, there's a possibility I do both, just because I have. I'm trying not to, but
they're like back to back.
I just have friends going to both, and I have friends that live in Detroit that are like, we got you, like, you just show up. Yeah, we got you. And then the same thing, I have friends that live in Vancouver that were like, we've gone to Shambhala the last 8 years. This is probably our last year, but like we do RV, we got this, we got that. You just have to show up. Like, we even cook all the food for you. And I'm like,
so go to both.
I know.
You have a group to take care of you. Like, that's like best case scenario.
I'm gonna have to put some.
You live once.
I'm gonna put some feelers out about work again. I'm gonna get back into the scene again.
Maybe 2 weeks.
You get back into working.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Yeah. 2 weeks. All right, dude. Yeah.
Those are good choices. Good options.
Yeah. Well, okay. The other reason why I'm thinking of only doing one or the other is because I know I'm going to Lost Lands this year. And
nice.
I've gone a lot. Lost Lands is like, people call like they're either my home festival. Like I will say that's my home festival. I've gone like, this will be my 6th time going.
Nice.
And even though I just talked about how I want new experiences, that's what I'm like, I'm going. I didn't go last year. I regretted it, but it's I'm for sure going this year because one of our friends is getting married and they want to do their bachelorette party at Lost Lands.
Yeah, that's like, a great idea.
I was like, okay, I guess I have to go to that. So I'm definitely going to that. Twist my arm.
Can you guys all wear like bachelor outfits one day, like matching fits?
We're definitely talking about some matching fits. Don't know what they have in store, but I do like the idea of like a tuxedo shirt as a joke.
Totally.
Or maybe some cheap suits.
Something my Rave fam does is like we will choose a theme for our matching day. Like one year we did cowboy, but like everyone dressed up in that theme how it felt like it fit themselves. So like I did like a techno cowboy, and so did my friend, like my other friend LT, and then like a few of people did like traditional like Western cowboy, and then one did like space cowboy. So like you can kind of choose an overarching theme and then like let people show up as who they are.
We did hula girls and hula guys one year. I remember we all got the what's it called? Goodness, I already forgot.
The hula skirts.
Yeah. We all had those on and like the lays and then like the things around our head.
Yeah.
What else
did you guys hula dance for anyone?
Yeah, of course. I'm sure we did.
I'll coordinate a dance.
I remember one festival. So, okay, I don't remember why we did this, but we bought me and the guys. Girls were not involved in this. The guys all bought like leggings to wear one time. I don't know why we did this.
Like colored leggings?
Like colored, they had like space
like
galaxy galaxy leggings or something. And we did it one time, and we were like, these are so comfortable. Like
Yeah.
these are so like we get why girls love liking. Like these are so comfortable. And so we ended up buying a new pack or something, and we went to a festival in Chicago called Spring Awakening. I don't think they do it anymore. And we went, and it was so funny because like big city festivals are like a little weird and different because they're like they just attract a level of like regular people that like are like, oh, this is here this weekend, like let's go and see Fisher, I guess. Like, you know, they don't even care for Fisher. They're like, well, I know that name, I'll just go. So there's like a level of just like people that don't care, they're just there. Like literally just like every other weekend for them. They're like, I'll just be there. And we show up and we were like, immediately we're looking around, we're like, we are the odd ones out here. Like we are dressed ridiculous compared to these people in Chicago. And I remember like clockwork, people just kept our leggings were very colorful, granted, and we probably looked like 4 gay men just having a great time in Chicago. Nothing wrong with that. And it was funny as it could be because people just kept coming up to us and being like, you guys selling? You guys have drugs? And we're like, oh my God, we do not. We're like, what is going on? Like, they just kept coming up to us, and we're like, and then finally it clicked. We're like, it's because of how we're dressed. Like they think like we're like we are the ravers here. Like we are veterans.
It's so interesting. That's the question they would come up and ask. They kept coming up and asking.
It was so funny. We were just like, no. As a matter of fact, we're looking for some. If you guys could point us in the right direction. But this was years ago. It's fine. But it was just really funny. We're like, okay, well, that's what we're getting for these outfits. We'd rather have been told we look good, but I guess not. So.
Love your fit.
We were hoping for that, and it did not occur.
That's funny.
I want to pivot and go back to social media and specifically some of the work you do with consulting and working with artists. What my main question is, well, especially because what we talked about and how important social media is in just this day and age. And I think in the grand scheme, companies are finally coming around to realizing like, hey, our social like needs to be on point. And even you see some of the bigger artists having a main or very heavy focus on, you know, putting out content now. I guess what kind of best practices do you suggest for up and coming artists that are, you know, working on their project, but now social media is such an integral part of that they also need to be content creators?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Big question.
That's a really big question.
Sorry, it's very,
So, step number 1, make sure your social medias are set up correctly. Make sure you have a good link in bio, like a link tree, or I think it's called Komani, Komi, that like has a link to your SoundCloud and your Spotify and your music and your merch. Make sure your branding is cohesive, and like hypothetically, when people look at your page, they can understand what you do without having to watch any of your videos like immediately. And I have a Patreon too that breaks down a lot of these tips and tricks for artists. But then on top of that, like make sure that you're making videos that you want to make and it's aligned to your brand. So like do track promos, do tour announcements, do funny content, like showcase your personality a little bit, not a ton to be an influencer, but like you got to show people who you are, because at the end of the day you're talking to a community, you're talking to people, like they want to kind of feel like they know you, and then they want to support your music even more. Like social media is your way to talk with your fans. Spotify and SoundCloud and the streaming platforms are the way for your fans to listen to you. I think
Hayes does a great job of like showing that personality, because he's just as funny as in person as he is on his socials. Sorry, I just like at first when you said it come to mind, like show your personality a bit, I was like, to give an example for anyone listening, he's a great person to show, like he really shows off his personality with stuff like that.
100%.
Is there like, and I'm only asking this for someone that might be listening, but like, is there, I guess, maybe a best practice that you would suggest for somebody that's balancing, you know, or having to balance this content creation and also work on the actual project itself?
Yeah. I don't have like a definitive answer. I think everything is case by case. I'm
glad you said that, because that's where my head was at too. But I just wanted to, I was curious. Sorry,
I think people often look for answers, and I'm like, no one's going to give you an answer. You got to figure that out yourself. In a perfect world, the artist would just be focusing on the music and doing shows. if the artist has the capacity to invest a little bit of money in someone like me that could help them create videos, edit videos, post, create social strategy, have someone on their team dedicated to socials, do that. If you have the budget for it, do that, and like build that relationship with your social media person to help direct you and tell you like what type of videos to make, what type of content to do, so that that gets offloaded off of your plate. If you don't have that budget, you are gonna have to figure that out yourself. But I think it's a really beautiful process because you really get to know your fans. You really get to know what type of content you want to make. You're really in control of your project and like what message you're putting across. And like as you grow and as you scale, you can really easily pop out content as you get bigger and know what you want to do because you figured out who your audience is. You figured out the videos that you want to make, you want associated with your brand. You figured out like if you want to do funny stuff, if you want to do educational, if you want to just do music promo, like you've become comfortable on camera. And so like it's a really beautiful journey. And then once you get to that point where you're like headlining and doing tours, doing festivals, like all you got to do is show up and tell someone else to record you.
Right.
So like that is a really beautiful journey. Yeah. It's definitely a hard one. Like it's hard to figure it out and it's hard to like try new stuff all the time and put yourself online too. Like even myself with milehighEDM, I didn't put my face on it for the first 6 months.
Right.
Like, and I didn't want it
Same
to be an influencer account. Yeah.
I mean,
I was like,
the podcast has developed out of it, but like at first it was just videos of the stage for 6 months to a year. There was nothing, who was behind the screen.
Yeah. But then I reached a point where I was like, I don't want to be another promoter account that just posts flyers. Like I want people to know that there's a person behind this, that I'm behind this, and that like it's built with love and with the intention to educate others and bring others together. Like it needed that community aspect. And so I was like, okay, time to put my face on it. And I'm definitely not the face of the brand, but like you see me pop up every once in a while, just enough to remind you that there's a human behind this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think honestly, that's so smart of you because like nowadays there's so much, people want that personality. Like they do. I think for so long at first social was a lot of like fake things and making yourself look good. And now I think it's shifted to where we kind of, especially the younger generations, I feel like we can see through that a lot easier than older ones. And because of that, there's a big opportunity now of being that personable person on screen talking where people go, yeah, I'm following this guy because he's just shooting straight. It's just him. It's just him.
Yeah.
And ideally, and on, again, like we talked about this a lot too, but like you want to be who you are on your page. I mean, that just makes sense. If you were to meet me in person, ideally nothing changed from this podcast to how I'm talking to somebody at dinner. Like that's kind of how I would roll. That's how I want to roll with it. So and I think
that's
people,
the goal. Like reaching that point where you're so comfortable in front of the camera that you are yourself.
And again, I think people can like feel that if it's fake. Like I just now, at least, I don't think before. I think now it's kind of shifted that way.
No, 100%. And I think for artists, like if you have an outgoing personality, if you're funny, like my friend Justin, Papa J is a great example. Like he is so funny and his content is very funny and very much reflects him and his personality. And he's also like so open to trying new things and really putting himself out there, like really lean into that. But also I think a lot of artists aren't that extroverted and like don't have that social media friendly personality from the beginning. So they got to find it in other ways. But those other ways could be more so like showcasing really beautiful backdrops while you're playing your music, like going in a cool location, having really great on-screen captions. If you really like meme content, make your content kind of memey and like throw some funny stuff in there. Or even like I work with Wonky Willa and like he's able to hop into character very easily on camera, which I really admire about him, that like he'll just kind of hop into his Wonky Willa character once the camera starts recording. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like this. And it's just like the smallest change. Like he just will do little funny things. And it's like, okay, you've figured out what you want your social media personality to be. So just
that's the other thing too, is you can have a social media personality and be just like a small deviation. I think what I meant too, not to get it confusing, what I was saying, when people are like so over the top fake that you can't even like, you're like, this is an entirely different person. Bro, that sums it up right there. 100%. What are your thoughts on using AI with your music? And the reason I bring it up, and it's kind of a hot topic, of course. But I have a friend in my life that I know that he makes great music. I've told him that and he's working on his socials as we're talking about this. I've
Yeah.
had similar conversations with him about working on his socials. And one of the things he has really enjoyed doing because he's not necessarily one that'll be on camera, and he likes the fact of creating inspiration out of some AR art imagery that fits into his project and putting the music over that and doing posts that way. But and not necessarily that method, but what are your thoughts of just AI in general coming into the scene for that specific purpose, or other purposes as well?
Yeah.
You know, visuals potentially too, I could see. But
Totally. I think I can't speak on the production side of stuff because I do not have a production background. So in terms of like creating the music itself, like I can't speak on that. I definitely hope you don't make music with AI. Like there's so many great musicians out there.
And I'm sorry, and I meant for the purpose of content.
Oh, the purpose of content.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Not for the actual songs, for the purpose of content. Yeah.
My personal opinion, I just don't think it should be used in content. I think that like the creative space is an art form, whether it's digital content, physical content, music. Like I think you're able to create what's in your head. You're able to create it. It just might take time. AI cuts out that time and is able to like turn it around a lot faster. And like there's so many great digital artists out there, so many great visual artists, so many great people that can do it affordably. It just takes you time to find them or give them the chance. I think it's definitely still going to exist, and like we're definitely moving towards a direction where it's going to be pretty prevalent. But yeah, I just think I'm like, so many people have been able to make it without AI. Like you can do it too.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I know in the case I'm talking about, a lot of times it comes down to like money and stuff and time. You know, again, we've that's one of the bigger things which we haven't even touched on yet, but was going to be my next thing is like, well, actually I brought it up about balancing the two things, but then you know some artists, as they're coming up, have to balance full-time job too. I mean, I have to balance a full-time job as well with this. And so there's, you know, a little bit of like, how can I cut 30 minutes out of my day or out of my editing to get back to I can work on another project, or even just relax so I can have the energy to go the next day 100% too and beyond. And that's where I think it has its use cases.
I think being used as a tool. I do agree with that. Like I've built milehighEDM on my own. I've definitely used AI to help me generate ideas, help me formulate stuff. Like I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm building this from scratch. So it definitely has been a really great tool for me to use as kind of like a thought partner with a lot of things. And I even think like I was talking to one of my editor friends or videographer friends the other day, and like using AI to edit multicam content and training it to do your style of editing that content. And what I mean by multicam is like when you have the recording of the artist where it's the camera's facing them, and then you have all the different spots from different, like around the set, like that could be really useful. But
so there is a tool that does that?
I think he said that it's like starting to be created, or you can train it.
That might be a tool for the podcast idea.
Totally. Yeah. But I also think there still should be a little bit of a human touch, and that's what makes editing so fun. But I think when it comes to like creating graphics, creating flyers, creating logos, like I think that should be human made.
Yeah, gotcha, 100%. I had another question when it comes to like up and coming artists, and there's so many. I'll preface with this: there's so many avenues to go. There's the avenue of like making a lot of content. There's the avenue of, but something that's been sticking out to me that I just don't see a lot doing. I'm curious to get your take on this too. But like a lot of YouTube and doing live sets. I'm sure there's a lot more noise with that probably, and it's a little bit harder to get traction. But if someone has the set catalog to where they can do a full set, or even not even necessarily a full set, in my head, you could do 20 to 30 minutes, and you might have to pay someone to do a multicam, but then your music's out on YouTube and then SoundCloud. But then, you know, for content purposes, I'm like, well, you could cut, you know, if you're using your whole song catalog on a 20-minute short video.
Yeah.
And kind of cut 20 clips out of that maybe or more, and you're getting a little bit of each. And now with like the YouTube feature of shorts that you can connect directly to a main video, I'm like, it might be like a move that someone that hasn't been as explored. because there's like people that, and I know there's weird things with the copyright too, which is hard.
Yeah.
I know there's fair use. It's like 20 seconds, maybe. Some
Yeah.
songs it's less than that, but
If you're
and so
cutting
that's
a clip from a set, unless you're doing melodic house, trance, or something like that, it probably should be 20 seconds or less.
yeah. But I'm curious if have you? I mean, maybe do you know anyone that's kind of going that route over the idea of like just short form content on Instagram, TikTok, or is anyone that you know that's been like
Been going like the YouTube route.
yeah, trying that out? I'm just curious. That's just something that's been sticking in my head because I maybe it's because my focus has shifted to YouTube. I'm like, someone could be doing just this and make it like.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it just might maybe I could also be completely wrong, but that's where my head's at.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anyone that comes to mind. I've definitely seen it, and I know from like the booking standpoint, like a lot of bookers or talent buyers will ask artists to send them like a 1 hour set before they book them, especially on like the entry level side of things. So like having a YouTube or a SoundCloud set is really valuable to a lot of artists. Just having something that showcases you can play a set if you're getting started. But yeah, I don't know about the YouTube. I definitely feel like I know like Levity blew up from their Electric Forest set, and I know that's on YouTube, and that got a ton of views. And I think even like Tiny Desk Concert, I know that's not electronic music, but like that's another form of like sets on YouTube that do really well. I think maybe more so that style where it's like an intimate setting. I've seen that perform really well versus like set content, even though I love watching sets on YouTube, but it doesn't go as viral.
I know some artists that they do DJ sets, but like it's not their, and like they use it as like a funnel, the funnel for other things. It's just like couple that does like, this is so off than what we were just talking about, by the way. I'm so sorry. My ADHD brain was just like, but like they like funnel it. They do like beats and cooking, or I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, that's cool.
But they're definitely not making any money off of the sets because there's a lot of, it's none of their original songs. It's all copyright stuff. Yeah. But then they're like, they're like, one of them's like cooking something, and then they sell like a recipe book like through that, so like combining the two things. Anyways, I don't know why I got that in my head. I was way off from everywhere. I apologize, but I was definitely curious about that. That's been something on my head recently where I'm like, I don't know, I think someone could do it. Like they could just be a nobody and be putting out sets on YouTube in an intimate or nature if they want to hike out and do it, and they got the resources to get a team to there's just so many avenues. I'm not saying that's the only way to go either. I mean, if you can put money in, like what you said, if you can put money into a social media manager that's handling all the social media stuff, and you're just providing the B-roll and the content, and they're putting it all together, I mean, that's just as valuable as, the other way around too. So 1,000 ways to do it. Find what works. Find what works for them. Should be the best. I guess the best advice. We're going full circle back to where we were. I got one more question for you. It's the question I ask every guest when it's their first time on the podcast. It's the theme of the podcast. So that is how do you live yourself for every day?
I've been thinking about this question all day.
Makes me so excited to hear that, by the way.
I was like, how do I want to answer it? I think I want to answer it in two parts.
Love it.
The first part is know yourself really well. The second part is show up for yourself the way you need every day. And I think that can really like adapt to what you need on a day-to-day basis and like what you want to do. Now that doesn't mean like, oh, I'm feeling tired, I'm going to lay in bed all day. But like if you want to go chase your dream and take that first step towards your dream, if you are thinking about something, show up for yourself and like do that thing. If you need to reach out to someone, you need to schedule a meeting, a doctor's appointment, do that thing. If you need to go get active, go on a walk, go to the gym. If you need to be social, if you need to spend time alone, like know what you need as a person to like be calm and collected and like in tune with yourself, and then do the actions that can get you there.
I love this so much. I can see I was like containing a smile as you were talking. I love that so much. I mean, that's very on brand with this whole podcast theme and a lot of my philosophy too. So that two-parter, know yourself, action number one, and then number two, is the small steps you would take to help you be your best self is what I'm getting at, what I'm assuming. Yeah.
And if you don't know yourself, get to know yourself. Get to know that step one, because you need that step one to be able to do step two.
So what are some things you've done to do step one?
Oh my gosh, this is
And
like
it's always ever
yeah.
changing. I guess I should make that clear because I have
Yes.
answers for myself that I can think of off the top of my head, but at the same time, it's ever changing. But there
Yeah.
are certain things that I can look back on and go, I know if I like really stick with that, that's going to help me.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Sorry,
I
not to take
have
away from your thunder.
This is one of my favorite stories to tell, and I really hope a lot of people like implement this advice. We all went through COVID. We went through COVID, and for me, I was entering freshman year of college in 2020. And I just remember like being at my parents' house before I went to college and being like, I don't like what my life looks like. I don't like what my hobbies are. I don't like who I'm friends with.
Hmm.
Like it was a big life transition, and I was just like, I don't like what I'm surrounded by. I don't feel like I know who I am as a person. I was definitely a people pleaser, and I was like, who am I? What do I want to do? And so I did this thing for like my whole freshman year going into my sophomore year where every single day I did one thing that made me uncomfortable. That could be everything from talking to someone in the elevator, like as I'm in my apartment
Yeah.
building, saying hi, to like ordering a new type of food at dinner, applying for a job I didn't think I was qualified for, asking someone to teach me a skill, showing up in life in a different way, like either being kinder or maybe even speaking my opinion more. Like I was very people pleaser before this. So I was like, oh, like what if I say what's actually on my mind
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
like what'll not ruffle any feathers. And so I just like really got to know myself and then really like fell in love with myself. And then I'd say I repeated it in Europe. Like everything was uncomfortable in Europe because you moved
Yeah.
to a foreign country
Solo
by
trips.
yourself. Like
Solo trips can
it's
rewire
hard.
you like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
amazing, but they are very hard. Like you
Yeah.
get to know yourself really well.
Definitely, you always take something away from those trips.
Totally.
No matter what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, like you said, there's other ways of doing it than just like taking a trip
Totally.
and leaving your family. But
Yeah. It could even show up as like maybe you met someone a few weeks ago and you want to hang out with them. Send them a text. Or even like if you have a friend you've been thinking about catching up with, send them a text saying you think about them. Like just simple things. But yeah, I definitely don't say I consciously do it every day as much anymore. I still, when I'm going through hard times, I'll remind myself like, okay, Kylie, like this is uncomfortable. Just get to that point where it becomes comfortable. And then, you get to know yourself in the process.
That's so, I want to touch on what you actually just said, which I think so many people, we think about like when we get into hard times, we're like, oh man, like I'm back in a hard time and this and that. And when we're having the good times, we don't take a note of like what we did to get out of it. Sometimes some people do. I shouldn't say, I shouldn't generalize, but like that's something I didn't do for a while. Like what are the things? Okay, I'm having life's a little rough right now. Like what did I do to get out of that? And like recently in the past year, that was something I was like, well, okay, I did all these things. And like, then I just kind of knew like the next time, cause life's ups and downs, it just kind of happens. You almost like mitigate how bad the bad times are, I guess, for lack of a better term, like or how long they last, maybe is what I'm trying to say. Had the stretch of that down wave, but it's just very important. I think that's awesome that you recognize, like, okay, I know that this is something that works for me, and I can just kind of do it. And that's something I've tell people now too. I'm like, find what works for you. And some people it's therapy, some people it's journaling, some people it's making themselves uncomfortable on a day-to-day basis. And there's no right or wrong answer, but that also comes down to knowing yourself, as you were saying, and what works for you to get out of those bad times. And then you're able to show up for yourself every day in the best way possible once you're out of those, rough times. So,
and usually the rough times are just because you've like fallen into a not so great routine. Yeah. Whether it's like your day-to-day life or the way you're talking to yourself or who you're surrounded with, or like the way you're doing your work, if you're constantly turning it in late, like so by doing like an uncomfortable thing in that set and setting, you're getting yourself out of that routine and you're getting to a place where you're like, okay, I can get back on track to like what I used to do when I was successful and happy, or you figure out the new thing. Like,
how did you remind yourself to do that uncomfortable thing every day? Because I think another
oh my gosh
I think of another problem that sometimes I run into is the consistency of things. And maybe sometimes it's because, I fake that I want it. That's highly possible. Then sometimes I'm like, no, I actually want it. And usually when I really like zone in on something, I hate to say it, it sounds so cliche, like to give that advice, like you just gotta want it. Like I know that's so
it's definitely part of it.
But it is a big part of it because like there are things that I've done where I'm like, I'm half in, half out, and then I don't do it. Yeah. And there's times where I'm like, I gotta change, and then I'm in.
Gotta
for
do
those,
something right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I, you know, and if I'd say, hey, I'm doing this for 30 days, like, and I am like adamant about it, like, I'll do it for 30 days. Versus
Totally.
like, I kind of want to do it for 30 days.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if there was anything you did to maybe push past that feeling, because I've also had that too, where maybe I did need to write a sticky note and put it on my phone at night, and I look in the morning and I go, get out of bed. Okay, I gotta get out of bed right now and go to the gym. Versus, you know, other times I might snooze, versus like if I can't hit snooze, like, all right, we gotta get up.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a very small example. But
Yeah, no,
curious.
I get it. I definitely have ADHD, and I like need visual reminders for things to remember stuff. And so I think at that time I wrote like a sticky note like on my door so that I could see it every time I left my apartment. I've also changed my phone screen in the past to be like 30 days, you're doing this. Here's the ending date. Yeah. And so that it's always on your lock screen. I love Google Calendar. I will put stuff in a Google Calendar as a reminder every day, even small things. Yeah, and even reminding yourself too, like something I actively practiced during that journey was like the uncomfortable thing doesn't need to be super big.
Yes,
If it was
just baby steps.
Yeah, like even if it was just like, oh, I need to clean my room today and I don't want to do it, and I'm gonna reorganize this one area. Like
one drawer is getting reorganized.
Super simple. Yeah.
I love that a lot that you just said that, because I think for so many people, myself included, it's taken me a while to get to that point where I go, hey, we don't have to be crazy today.
Yeah.
We don't have to clip 70 clips today.
Yes. You don't have to edit for 5 hours.
We can just do 5.
Yeah.
And then we can do 5 tomorrow, and then 5 every day. And then it'll just, oh my God, that was perfect.
Yeah.
And I love analogy I always give, not just to harp on it like one more time for fun, is the gym. The gym, so many people, and actually this is where it clicked for me, was when I started working out. There were so many times in college where I'd go work out with a buddy who had been working out for years, do his exact workout, kill myself for an hour, and then wake up the next day so sore that I couldn't work out for the next 3 days. And so the consistency is gone. I went to the gym when I said I would go, but now I can't even, I've gone so hard that I can't do it the next day.
Yeah.
So I remember implementing and I do this every time. If I take it, like when I travel, sometimes, you know, there's the 2-3 week break of not working out. It's like, and for me to be able to get back into it every day, I have to just go and do 30 minutes at least. And you know, the first 2 weeks back, they're not going to be crazy workouts. I might feel good that I'm back, but I'm not killing it. I'm not getting muscle growth. But then by like week 3, I'm back in that zone of like, all right, we're going for an hour. We're hitting it hard now. I can do it now, because I'm not just so sore the first day I'm back, and I can't go again. And that's been one of the big things. That's my best analogy I can give, is because I know so many people and it's so easy because so many people want to work out and get in better shape, and if you go too hard off the jump, you end up messing with. It's almost better for you to just take baby steps of working out a little bit every day, and then at like a month in, you're like, oh, I got this.
Yes,
easy.
Totally. Yeah. And even I have a background in fitness. I was a personal trainer in college. So I love talking about fitness.
Didn't even know it, and I nailed it.
And something like I try and tell myself, I've definitely gone through a few periods of life where like I have stopped working out for a certain amount of time for whatever reason, and then come back and experience the same thing you've experienced, where you work out way too hard and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't move my legs. And something I do is like that first week, like I'm very diligent of writing down my workouts and knowing when I'm going to work out each day. The first week I won't do that. I will just do what my body wants to do and like what I feel like I can lift and not push myself. And that's just like a really great, I think that I can apply to a lot of things, because you're just like seeing what you react to starting this new thing again, and then reaching that point where you can get to your working weights again and like get to that sustainable level.
And that would be, we can kind of draw that back to the analogy of like that show up for yourself. So you're like, I'm just going to show up today.
As much as you can. Like, and it's
maybe
okay,
I'm doing yoga today and not
bit.
weights. Maybe I'm doing, maybe I'm just doing the treadmill, but it's okay. I showed up.
You got in motion. You didn't stay still.
Stay in motion.
Yeah.
No, I love that. When it comes to like the small things to show up for yourself, how did you take those into account, and kind of just by like same thing, like just by observing, like, oh, when I do that small thing, I feel a lot better, or just, you know, and taking that into account, almost like
Yeah.
stopping to smell the roses for a second to go, that was actually really good. I should probably do that again.
Yeah, no, 100%. Just that. And like, I'm always trying to figure out, like, I want to become the best version of myself every day. I know that won't exist tomorrow, and I know I probably won't ever accomplish that goal, but like, how can I show up for myself in a way that feels comfortable, feels like me? How can I surround myself with people in a community and a work lifestyle that like shows up in that way? And even like friends are kind of tough. I'm definitely an extroverted person. I love people. Like I want to get to know everyone if I could. But something I noticed in college, like we all have a lot of different friends in college, is there would be particular groups of people. I would come home from hanging out and I'd like want to have a dance party in my room, and I would like put on my headphones and just be like, oh my gosh, that was such a fun night. And there were other people that I would come home and I'd be overthinking what I said and be like, oh, did I say that wrong? Did I say that okay? And so like really paying attention to those small things of how the people around you make you feel, so that you can have the space to be the best version of yourself, or the version you feel most comfortable as. And it takes a lot of figuring out, and that can even change over time with your friendships. But then like in those spaces where you feel comfortable, leaning into that and being like, oh, do I want to be really kind? Do I want to be funny? Do I want to speak what's on my mind? Do I want to cut people off when I talk? Like just little things. Or even like I definitely have a tendency to cut my friends off when I'm like really excited about stuff. And like some friendships it works, and other ones I'm like, oh, I need to like tone it back a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, just like paying attention to how you physically feel, and then after that, how you mentally feel of like, oh, was I confident in that situation?
Yeah, that's I mean, that's something I haven't touched on much on the podcast, but I think that you've nailed it with like paying attention to the energy that you have around certain people, and your body knows. I mean, it's weird. It's
It'll
something
tell
you
you,
don't think
yeah.
about, but like, you know, deep down, if you've dealt with like a person who maybe did when a friend of yours wrong, or did you wrong, and you look back and you're like, I guess there was a sign. Like I do remember, like I remember this one time where I was like, oh, something's not right, and I just kind of pushed it aside, and versus like listening to it right away.
Totally.
It's very interesting. Yeah. We definitely have like an innate nature in us of sensing things that for whatever reason that in our Western society that we don't
pay attention
as much to it. I think that's coming back a bit more and more.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad it's coming back, because your body tells you a lot.
Yeah.
It lets you know if you feel safe or not before your mind realizes it.
It does.
Yeah.
I can't get too into it, but I've definitely dealt with that very recently. It's 1,000%
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my gut was telling me something. I was like, man, take it easy. And like, be aware, like be wary, but like you're tripping. And then like 3 days later, I was like, oh, I guess that was right. That was really quick. That was a quick turnaround there.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh my gosh, I love this conversation. I love how we ended it. We're very close to the time, so I want to make sure we give you plenty of time to get where you're going and stuff. But this was awesome. I love that. I think that's a great way to end it right there. So
great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This was so much fun.
Tell people where they can plug you, or plug where they can.
Yes.
Where they can find you.
You got it.
And I'll put it in the description too. Cool. So sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, you could follow my company, milehighEDM, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, and then you can follow me personally at Kylie Wetnight on same name on all the platforms. I also do social media consulting with artists and brands. You can find that link in my bio on any of the social media platforms. And then if you're an artist or a show that's looking to do promo in Denver or bring us to festivals to do social media content, please feel free to reach out. We would love to work with you.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put all that in the description as well. Thank you so much for coming. I had such a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Peace.
Bye.